Hi, Suzanne Parker here again from Parker Monuments in Knightdale, North Carolina. This video is more about what drives the price of a monument. Most people do not have any idea about price, and that's fine. That's what we're here to help you with. The different colors of granite is the first thing we're going to talk about. There's your grays typically are your lesser expensive. They are generally domestic, although there are imported colors of gray as well. There are different colors. Some are even called blue because they're just a deeper, richer color. But typically your gray is going to be your lesser expensive. There are other factors that play a part. There are ways that you can get black granite that costs pretty close to the same as gray. It just depends on a number of factors. Which one of those would be size, and another would be the finish. Finish is like polished. Okay, so this little sample here shows a polished surface. Okay, a lot of monuments standard is polished front and back. Okay, then you leave the top and the ends rough. That's the least expensive way to go. From there you can add a polished top. Just adds a little bit to the cost. You can do what's called a polished 5, which is polished front, back, top, and both ends. All right, so when you do that, that's called a polished 5. That's an all polished monument, and that is pretty standard in a black granite monument. Doesn't have to be. You can get it in any way you want, but that's one of the ways that the black kind of runs about the same price. No, it's still more, but it runs about this. It's closer to the price of the gray. Okay, so the other things would be color. There's also, like I said, there's a lot of different colors. A lot of people really like the black, the solid black, and we sell a lot of the gray, a lot of black, red, pink. Those are probably the most popular colors. Your black granite, one of the really nice things about black granite is etching. If somebody wants to have an etching. Etching is a process done by an etching artist that is like what you see behind me here. You can get a lot more detail. It can be of an image, it can be of a person. So etching on black granite, one of the best outcomes to do that on black granite. It has to be a really dark granite for it to look really good. The other thing is size, and what I typically like to do is work with the family on picking out all of the different elements that they want on the monument, whether or not they want a picture, what type of carving they want. Carving is things like crosses, praying hands, flowers. Now I'll take a little side note here on the carving. It doesn't, at least here at Parker Monuments, it doesn't cost more to do 5 carvings as it does to do 1. So carving is typically charged by the lineal foot of the monument. So if you have a companion monument that's 4 foot wide, it would be whatever that lineal foot price is times 4 feet. So it doesn't cost more to put 2 very simple things on there or to do a more elaborate choice of borders or something of that nature. Like I said, here at Parker Monuments, not sure every monument company does that. I can only speak for what we do. Okay, then your lettering can affect the price. Typically included in a companion monument is the family name and then the 2 inscriptions, whether they're full inscriptions or not. What I mean by that is it would include both individual names, it would include both individual birth dates, and then if either of them have passed away, it would include their death date as well. A lot of cemeteries you go into, especially church cemeteries and some town cemeteries, you go into and you see the back side of the monument first. So a lot of times people like to put the family name on the back side of the monument and then have all the pertinent information on the front. The shape of the top is also another consideration that can affect the price. You have the serpentine top, which is your little rise and fall that you see a lot of in the cemeteries, a straight top or an oval top. There are other tops that do cost extra, but those three are typically no extra fee. They're all in the standard range. But there's kind of an apex top, there are scotias, there are all kinds of other shapes that, rooftops, there are other shapes that affect the price. So let's see, we've talked about color. One thing we didn't talk about yet was material. You have granite, there's bronze, there's marble. Those are the main three I'm going to talk about today. So used to, in a lot of old cemeteries, you would see marble monuments. And the reason that they used so much marble way back when was because it was a softer material and everything had to be done by hand. And nowadays we have the technology. When I say nowadays, I mean like in the last, 50, 100 years, whatever. We have the technology so that we can engrave granite. Granite is a much harder material than marble is, and granite is typically less expensive. So for most people, it's kind of a no-brainer to choose granite, but we certainly do a lot of marble, and you're more than welcome to marble. It is beautiful. So that's the material, and then we talked about color, and then we talked about size and finish. Anytime you typically cut into shape a piece of granite, that adds a little bit to it too. For example, a heart-shaped monument would cost a little bit more than your traditional monument that just has one of the three shapes I mentioned, the serpentine, oval, or straight top. There's also a popular design of a companion monument that has a notch in the middle top, and that is to put a flower vase on. And so that little notch cut out there adds a little bit to the cost too. As I said, anytime you change or cut into the granite to make it a different shape at any kind adds a little bit to the cost. Not usually prohibitive, but it does make a difference in the cost. Whether or not you have flower vases. You can take any design, I would say most any design, and you can add a flower vase on each end. We just order a bigger base. And you can see examples of all of this on our website, parkermonumentsinc.com. You can also do a vase down center front if you want. You can put it flat to the ground. And there's different flower vases. There are metal flower vases. There are granite flower vases, and a lot of different shapes and styles and sizes and all of that as well that you can talk about with your memorial person. Oh, and one thing I forgot to mention, when I was talking about lettering, the things that were included, but you can put, a lot of people like to put a Bible verse down at the bottom, or a special phrase, the name of a song, a line from a song, a line from a poem. You can also utilize the back side of the monument to put a special phrase or a poem or something like that, Bible verse back there if you'd like. There are generally additional lettering charges, if you go over the typical names and dates and those kinds of things. Some of the other things that drive the price, we mentioned the flower vases, it would be pictures. You can do etching, as I mentioned. You can do an etching on a black granite monument, which would give you a lot of detail. And as I mentioned, that can be of an image or it can be of the individual person. You can also do porcelain pictures. And you can do these in black and white or in color. You can do, and these can be put on any color monument. You have your choices of borders. You have your choice with or without a frame. These are typically installed where we recess an area into the granite. They're not just stuck to the front, okay? We recess an area in the granite, we epoxy the picture in there, and then once that sets, then we caulk around it to keep water out. So these are nice additions, and we have all different sizes and shapes. This particular one happens to be oval. And no, this is actually not Albert Einstein, although I thought it was for years. All right, so we talked about granite, and we talked about marble a little bit. Then let's also talk about bronze. So bronze, a lot of cemeteries around do require bronze mounted to a granite base to be in their cemetery. There are a lot of those cemeteries around. Of that, bronze is the expensive part. But there's a lot of bronze options for you out there, and you can have them with or without flower vase. That's another important thing to know about your cemetery, is whether or not they require you to have the bronze first of all, and then also whether they have a requirement to have a flower vase or not. You also want to see if they have any regulations on what color granite you can put it on. But there's a lot of really nice colors that go under bronze, and there's a couple that are real traditional, but we've done one under, we did a veterans bronze marker under, we put a rustic brown granite underneath it, and that was really pretty. We've done black, that was also very nice, black granite with the bronze on it. Your least expensive, of course, is going to be the gray. But then there's a bunch of different names for it, so I don't want to really throw out a bunch of names, but Carolina mahogany is what we called it for years, Kershaw pink, I mean, there's a bunch of names for it, and that one is real common, at least in the memorial parks and all around here that require the bronze on granite. Fees, too, from cemeteries. In our first video, we talked about some cemeteries have fees. So that's something else that of course plays a part. So whatever the cemetery fees are, they can be from very little to rather extensive fees. So whatever that is would of course be added to the cost of the monument too. So from this point, I usually work with my families and we design a monument and get it like they want it on a preliminary design, and then we go on through the rest of the process. And lots of questions will come up as they do, and feel free to let us know if you have any questions as well. So that about wraps up this video. If you have any questions or you want to take a look at our website, of course, parkermonumentsinc.com, and I hope you have a blessed day.